We're live. The RP show continues on this Thursday, episode number 1513, here on the Game Plus Television Network across all of Canada and 31 U.S. states. Jared Dumba joins us, hockey analyst, NHL analyst from the famous Dumba hockey playing family, with a plethora of things to talk about, Jared. It's been far too long. How are you?
Doing great. How are you doing, brother? How you enjoying Canada?
Oh, it's so much fun. It More than anything, I'm loving the cool weather. I'm loving the great people. I'm loving the Tim Hortons coffee. I'm loving literally everything about it, my friend. And I love
Don't
that the whole country is gripped with a Stanley Cup final. Would you agree?
I noticed you conveniently left out the pizza, but we'll talk about that later. We'll get to
They
that
got
on
to
the
sponsor
weekend.
the show. They got to sponsor the show. No free plugs. And Tim Hortons, it would help if you got on board too. Let's jump into the Stanley Cup final because, listen, everywhere I go, and I'm in Moose Jaw, it's a hockey town, as you know.
Yeah.
They're talking about it. They're cheering for the Oilers. What do you see happening here in this series?
What I see happening, here's what I'd love to happen. I'd love the Oilers to come out, win a narrow, good tight game tonight, get some momentum, take it back home, win another one at home, only for Florida to come back and win, and us see a game 7. That's what I'd love to happen. What do I think's going to happen? I think Florida's gonna somehow pull it out again tonight, and I think we might get to 6 games. It's looking like this one could be done in 5. It's just this Florida team; they're just way too good. They can beat you any which way. It's like as soon as in the first game or two of a series, they're trying to figure out how you play so that they know how to play. And as soon as they figure out how you play,
Well,
seems like it's game over.
I'm glad you said that because I'm assuming you've watched every single second of the series. I have not. I've been busy doing baseball. I watched all of game 3. But tell me where you identified that this flipped from the Oilers playing their style and winning game 1 to the Panthers playing their style and winning games 2 and 3. How did that happen? Where did that happen?
I would say, to me, it looked like it was almost end of game 1. It didn't take very long. Against the Leafs, it took them 2.5, almost 3 games to figure out the Leafs. With Edmonton, it seemed like towards that end of that first game, definitely early in the second game, you could just kind of see the things that they're doing, the way that they're getting the puck to the net, the way they're finishing their checks, different little things like that. Not that they don't do that all the time, anyways, but you can just see their game just changes a little bit. You got to watch very, very careful. It's tough to explain, but somewhere early, probably in that second game, you could see where they had it figured out, and especially last game, the way that they're shutting guys off at the blue line. McDavid had a tough time getting into the zone. Well, everybody had a tough time getting into the zone
Yes.
last game, and they figured out how to kind of just put up a wall at that blue line, and it's. Oilers are going to be in tough. Like I said, I hope the best for them, but this Florida team is one of the best we've seen in a long time, I think, Rod.
Yeah, it was like a mental switch where they just said, we need to get back to being us. And you're right. And so I see this. I just called up the wire service. And the latest is we're going to talk about in a second Chris Kreider getting dealt to the Anaheim Ducks today. That's official. But the next headline that comes up on my wire service is Troy Stetcher, Jeff Skinner to suit up for the Oilers in game 4. Stuart Skinner to start. Number one, we knew Skinner was going to start. Number two, these lineup tinkerings and pairing changes is rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic, is it not? It's not about that to me.
Yeah,
What's your
it's
read in the coverage?
to me that's just distraction. I don't think I don't think Chris Knobloch really cares that much. If the fifth or sixth D man's going to be changed, or if you're going to change a fourth
Yeah.
liner, that's just kind of fluff for the meet for us to talk about. But you know what? It's going to depend on those guys. We said the same thing in the Leafs series. It doesn't matter who you're putting in if you're switching out Robertson for whoever, bringing in this guy or that guy on the fourth line. It's got to be your top few lines that are going to do it. The third line's going to have to show up. Third lines are usually what wins series and wins championships. The top two lines usually switch off with uh, points and goals, but that third line, and that's where Florida has a huge advantage, is that third line. When you got a Marchand looking comfortable and a Lundell at center who could be on the second line of 30 teams in the league. that's something very nice to have, and that's tough to play against, and that's what the Oilers are going to be up against.
Stacy writes in from Access World headquarters. He says, "Good thing Klingberg is out. He's been a defensive liability." That's from Stacy. From Access World headquarters. I know him. He's a great dude. So you're a Leaf fan and Kings, and I've seen people complaining that the Spit and Chicklets podcast is talking too much, which I don't listen to, by the way. I like those guys. I know those guys, but don't have time. But they're talking too much Leafs with Biz and too much Oilers with Ryan Whitney. I'm like, well, those are the marquee teams. That's the way it's going to go. My question on that is, somebody wrote into our Cats and Bolts podcast and said, even if the Oilers were to win the Stanley Cup this year or some Canadian team in Gary Bettman's tenure, because it's getting to the end, Jared, it would not change Canadians' minds, that they would still think he's anti-Canadian, Gary Bettman, which he's not. You and I both know. But do you agree with that? That Canadians wouldn't change their mind even if a Canadian team won the Cup?
No, Canadians won't. Rod, you're back here. You're back fresh here recently in the last couple of weeks here. You know the difference between a major difference between Canadians and Americans. We like to have something to complain about here in Canada, and
Yes.
that's just something you can focus on and complain about. Yeah, it doesn't matter if the Oilers win this year. If Bettman's around for 2 more years and the Oilers win the next two and the Leafs win one, it doesn't matter. They're still going to talk about all the years where it didn't happen instead of focusing on the good years where it has happened. So
Yep.
that's the way it is. That's the way we are in Canada, and you got to learn, especially when you live here, you got to learn to put on a thick skin when you go out and talk to people, because that stuff will beat you down after a while
Oh,
if you take it in and worry about it.
the first week back, I was getting upset because I'm like, why is everybody so angry? My God, can you just chill out with a variety of things? Whether it's riders' attendance at a game or Gary Bettman. Oh, my God. Now,
Comfortable in our gloom.
right? But on the flip side, here's one for you, because we've got a lot of viewers in Florida right now watching because they're hockey fans and they don't get the coverage there. They were writing into the Cats and Bolts podcast yesterday I was doing with Serena, and they said, why don't we get the respect? Why don't we get respect from the national media? Why don't we get respect from Canada? This is a Panthers fan base. And I said, who cares? You're never going to get it. Tampa, though, does get it. Tampa gets it. I don't know how that happened, if it's just winning or what, but how would you address that fact? Lucas Caligari is his name. He sold me a baby blue Panthers jersey, the one with the palm and pucks on it. Get over it.
Yeah, big deal. But I think what you kind of touched on it there. It's something that's earned over a long time. It's not just you win one cup and everybody around the world expects you. I know they've been to two in a row, but if they win another one, you're already seeing that here. And I don't know what it's like in Florida, but around here, you're starting to see a lot more respect for those Panthers, and there's a lot of talk about them even during the season. When you put together a roster that's good, and build it over time, people are going to want to go there. Newsflash, it's not just the tax situation that wins you cups. You actually have to put a good team together, and then people want to come. So that's another thing I keep hearing on podcasts and all over the place, driving me absolutely bananas. In 7 years from now, when Dallas's guys are aging out, Florida's guys are aging out, same thing with Tampa's. We'll see if everybody's talking. I bet you the tax situation just disappears into thin air
Oh,
for
my God.
a good decade.
You are, as we established earlier, you said you were born in 79, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
7 years younger than me. Your circle is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. I feel like I'm not talking to anybody anymore because I'm tired of hearing the crap, and that's all I hear. So I don't talk to anybody. Like, is
Already
the
there, buddy. Already there.
the tax thing? I'm like, shove it. They won't listen to any reason. So I guess
Yeah.
we're just not talking then. I'm going to go for a walk and listen to Denzel Washington inspirational videos on YouTube. That's what I'm doing. Tony from Cochrane, Alberta writes in and says, the poll is at 50-50, which, by the way, for EMJ Marketing, the question is who wins Game 4 tonight, Edmonton or Florida? Tony says, are the Oiler fans falling off the bandwagon? Now, the answer to that is the Oiler fans haven't changed. It's everybody else. It's the fringe fans, Canada's team fans, that now don't believe in the Oilers. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. There's always people jumping on the bandwagon, as we know, all over that are, doing polls like that. And as soon as it flips a little the other way, they're right off and onto the Panther bandwagon. So I think that's what you're seeing with that there.
Maybe you know the answer to this. I do not. Robin writing in from Fort McMurray, Alberta. Thank you, Robin. A new viewer says, hi, Rod. On the Western Dodge text line, he says, I'm loving your broad knowledge for this great show. He's new. We fooled him, Jared. He says, what's up with the NHL awards being at this time? My guess on that would be, and I don't know the answer, but I'll look into it and find it for you. It used to be a big deal between the Stanley Cup final and the draft. The awards would be the week of the draft. Now, if this goes 7 games, which it very well might, it would be a Monday, I believe, is the game 7, and the draft is Friday. There's no time to have the awards anymore. It's not a thing anymore. So because of the length of the playoffs, that's why they're doing it the way that they're doing. I don't like it, but there's no drama. There's no envelope opening. And I wonder why the NHL went away from that. But you follow the NHL way more than me. Do you have an answer to that?
You know what? I think it's stuff like that. I always think it comes from the players. When you get, especially the guys
Mm,
they go deep, and whether you win or lose the cup, then you got 5 days until you got to go fly somewhere else and be at an awards show. You want that next week or two to be with the boys, with your families, where everybody can get together and just kind of relax. You've been on the road all year. You've been pounding away. You've been stressed out. Now you
okay.
get some time to breathe and relax, and you hanging out with the managers and the general managers of the team and the owners, and you really want to enjoy that last week or two before everybody scatters off or does their own thing for the summer. So I would think that it kind of stems from the players that way, but I don't. That's not 100%. That's just what I would. That
Well,
would
you
be my
could talk to your
opinion.
cousin. You could talk to your cousin, Matt Dumba, about that. I mean, I'll be honest
Yeah.
with you. Well, listen, I come from the CFL where the players have zero leverage. And for that matter, junior hockey. So anything they want gets quashed. So I can't say you're wrong. I've never seen a league, though, where the players have any say whatsoever. They're usually being railroaded. But in this case, and it might not just be the players, Jared. Let's not forget the coaches and the GMs might like a day or two to catch their breath, too, right?
Exactly, exactly. And when you could give the awards, and in today's day and age, you can give the awards the way they are. They're making surprising people here and there. It's something cool. It's something different, something interesting. I'm not so sure they won't go back to having an awards show at some point. Just maybe after the draft, somewhere down the road. But this is a nice way to do it for a couple of years. Just something a little different.
Here's one for you. Brendan writes in. Breaking news today. New rink in Atlanta announced this morning. Sounds like a precursor to another NHL franchise by 2027. The rink is 30 miles from downtown Atlanta. How come this is okay for Atlanta but was death to Phoenix? Because you need to know the dynamics of Atlanta, which I now do. I've been there multiple times, and Jared has lived in the U.S. South as well. It's not about what it is in Canada. Atlanta's downtown, you want nothing to do with. It's 12 lanes wide right outside Mercedes Stadium. I've been through there. People don't want to go anywhere near downtown Atlanta. It's way too congested. And it's big enough at 6 million people that you could put a rink in the burbs and actually draw well. So the expansion rules are going to be have been tweaked, Jared, to guarantee that they'll be better because the Thrashers suck forever. The Predators suck forever. The NHL doesn't want that anymore. It's very clear they're going to Atlanta, and I'm all for it. How about you?
I love Atlanta. I love the city of Atlanta. I think that's a great
Yeah.
place to have a team. I think there's so much room for growth there with bringing in minor hockey programs after once you get everything up and rolling and getting the youth and the people involved and just spreading out to a whole different genre of a bunch of different genres of people, I should say. And when you got that many people in one city center, that's a huge opportunity. It's a very smart idea.
Last Christmas-ish, December, we were driving through Atlanta on the way to Nashville. And we found out somewhere along the way that there are 3 Tim Hortons in Atlanta. Did you know that, Jared? There's a great trivia
No,
question for you. So, yeah, there are. So we stopped at
really.
a Tim's. Yes. And if you know downtown Atlanta at all, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets football stadium is not far from Mercedes Stadium or the hockey rink. It's all fairly closely located, just very congested. So we went into a Tim Hortons, which is in a gas station, but whatever. Serena and I got my Tims. She goes, "How is it?" I said, "They nailed it. They already have the Tim Hortons. Now all they need is the hockey team in Atlanta." David number 1 writes in. He says, "Good morning, Rod. Good luck today. Go Bombers. Go Panthers." David number 1, we had a ton of CFL talk last hour, and I can't believe how fast this is going. We're almost out of time, Jared. Ryan McCarthy writes in. He goes, "It's true. I-85 is 12 lanes wide, but it's congested no matter what time of day." I know, and it goes right through downtown Atlanta. It's insane. You got to be there to understand it. What do you know about the Rangers and why they are such a grease fire?
Well, you know what? This is just my personal opinion. When the management starts leaking out stuff, and not to say that they haven't done a good job of signing guys and stuff like that, but when they start leaking stuff out of the, stuff that should be kept to the team, guys all of a sudden start losing trust and they start walking on eggshells and they go, "What? Well, who's going to say something? Who can I trust here? What can I do? What can't I do?" And it just becomes a bad environment. You want to keep everything. That's why they say everything. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. It's the same thing with a hockey team in the hockey room, and
Wow.
there's a reason for that. Everybody, you want to have each other's back. Something happens, you want to keep it in that room and deal with it, as a team. You don't want to be leaking stuff and everybody's looking over their shoulders, going, "Well, who the heck can we trust here?" And that severely impacts the play on the ice.
Sure, and it's amazing that you and I sit and talk about this, and I'm not sure the fans are hearing it, because Jared's dropping truth bombs. I knew the answer. I wanted to hear Jared say it. Whereas in Florida, like look at Dallas. The players at the end of the season said, "We don't like the coach. We don't like what he said after." Who's gone? The coach, right?
Yeah,
In Florida, everything's in the same, everybody's on the same page. They know how to treat those young players. The players are happy. It's very evident on the ice.
yeah.
And Toronto was just a different animal altogether on all of that, where it's just too crazy. But I feel like you were going to say something. What was that?
Yeah, no, I was just agreeing with you. It's like any workplace. The teams like any workplace. You get managers who are, talking behind people's backs and it's creating little groups here, little groups there. It's not a very fun place to go in and work every day. Same thing with a hockey team. Everybody has to be having each other's backs, working together, working hard, and having fun, and it just gets more. That's where the fun comes from, from being together and supporting each other. So
Yeah. Well, I want to say this, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on Saturday, which I will. But the Florida Panthers and Vegas Golden Knights, both owned by West Point guys, military guys. I know tons of guys that work for both teams, and they say those owners don't play. You get caught doing dirty crap, you're gone, right? They don't play. And
yeah,
that's not how the losing franchises roll. And look where the Golden Knights are. Look where the Panthers are. This is the way it is. This is where we're going. If you don't like it, that's the door. And again, you pull shady shit, you're gone. And
you
I
got to
like to
hold
roll
people
that way.
accountable.
Yeah, as
Yeah,
do you. You like to roll that way as well.
yeah.
Okay, I'm going to get to the viewer questions after this. Jared, as always, I appreciate you, and you have yourself a great afternoon.
You too, my friend. We'll see you Saturday for little brekkie.
Our hockey analyst, Jared Dumba from the famous hockey playing Dumba family. We'll be right back with a sports update and viewer takeover the rest of the way right to the top of the hour. We're on Game Plus TV, streaming, and on all major podcast platforms.